Hey guys, it is Carly here bringing you episode number 8 of my entire horror movie collection series. I am almost done with these stacks here. I am on the last section, so after that we'll be moving on to the next shelf, so that is pretty exciting. Turns out I have more stuff than I thought I did, so that's kind of cool. My collection sure has grown over time, and that is awesome. So we're just going to go ahead and get right into this. And to start off, for this part, we left off with The Ring 2. Now, The Ring 2 is a movie that I saw in theaters, and as embarrassing and sad as it is, this might have actually been the first horror movie that I've seen in theaters. I really cannot remember what the first horror movie was that I saw. I remember the first movie I saw, but I know it wasn't until later in life that, well, not later in life, I was still a kid, but it wasn't until I was a little bit older of a kid that I started going to theaters to see horror movies because my mom thought they would be too scary for me. So I think this might have been the first one, or at least one of the first ones. I think this came out in like 2005, so I would have been like 8, and anyway, yeah, The Ring 2, when I first saw it, I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was a bad movie, but then, rewatching it later on, it's definitely not that great of a sequel. I'm a big fan of The Ring. I'm not ashamed to say it. I do like that movie. I haven't seen the Japanese versions, which everyone says are much better, but I do like the first Ring movie, and in comparison, this movie just kind of has some, bad effects in it, and it's just a little more ridiculous, but I still find it to be a little entertaining. After that, we have Roadside. I blind bought this off of a website like Go Hasting or Second Spin or something like that, because one day I was just kind of buying random movies, and, this looked like a road horror movie to me, and I kind of liked the cover, so I decided to grab it, and I must say it wasn't too bad. Basically about a couple who their car, I think their car breaks down or they get a flat tire or something in the middle of nowhere, and then there's some dude in the woods threatening to shoot them and kill them the entire movie, and it definitely feels similar to other movies I've seen before. It wasn't overly original, but I thought it was actually pretty solid, and I was kind of happy that I grabbed it. Then we have Rosemary's Baby. This obviously is a classic. I've only seen Rosemary's Baby once, and I think that's probably honestly the only time I really need to see it. This definitely isn't one that I would probably go back to, just because it's over 2 hours long, and it's a slower film. But with that being said, I thought it was absolutely amazing. I think I gave it a 10 out of 10. The only reason I would really ever have to go back to this film is if I was really showing it to someone else or recommending it. But other than that, it's a solid, first time watch. I'm sure it does have replay value, but with the length and the fact that it's a slower film, it's just not one that I would really run back to just for, entertainment purposes. Then we have Rosemary's Baby once again. This is the TV miniseries version. Not sure when this, 2014, so this is actually newer than I thought it was. It wasn't a bad movie, miniseries, whatever you want to call it, but it just felt very unnecessary. It was kind of like almost a shot-for-shot remake with some bits taken out, and, it just kind of felt like a lesser version of the original film. Didn't really add anything new or exciting, very much like, just escaped me. Movies like the Hitcher remake or the Martyrs remake, it's basically the same movie over again, just not as good. But this was a TV miniseries, so, it's a little different in that aspect. But other than that, not a bad film, but also just kind of in limbo. It's not anything special. If you see the original, basically, is what I'm trying to say, you don't really need to watch that. After that, we have The Ruins. This is a movie that JP wanted me to check out, and I thought it was a very good movie. I thought some parts of it were pretty gross, I don't know, just things going on with the trees or whatever, the weeds, whatever it is that's attacking them. It just kind of grossed me out a little bit, and it's probably not one that I would rewatch, because when something grosses me out in the movie, it's good that the movie does that, because it is a horror movie, and that is one of the things that horror movies try to accomplish, so it's not a bad thing, but it also makes me not want to watch the movie again because I do not feel like gagging or feeling sick, so. But that is a good film. Not gonna lie. Then we have Salem's Lot. I just watched this one recently this year, and I thought it was pretty solid. I did make the mistake of watching it all in one sitting because I was off one day and I think I didn't feel very well, so I figured I would just lay on the couch and watch it, and I did fall asleep, I kind of drifted in and out of sleep while watching it, but I did like what I saw and thought some elements to it were actually pretty creepy, so very good film, or I think this would be considered a miniseries as well, but, you know, definitely not one that you should watch in one sitting because it is super long. Then we have Scarecrows. This is another one that I think I'd heard of it before, but I just remember being on Amazon one day and I decided to pick it up just because I thought the cover was pretty creepy, and I think the concept of scarecrows in horror movies is pretty cool, and, you know, I liked it, but I also felt like it was kind of too dark, literally. I mean, it's, you know, the whole setting is in the dark, which I do find that could be a very creepy and atmospheric setting, but at the same time, if it's too dark the entire movie, it's kind of hard to really pay attention to what is happening. This is definitely one I would like to revisit because I only watched it that one time, and I feel like I could definitely get more out of it on a second watch. Then we have Scream 2. It's been years since I've watched Scream 2, but I've always enjoyed it. You know, I know people say it's not a great sequel to Scream, but to me, all the Scream movies are, you know, kind of the same. Part 1 is obviously way superior than any of the sequels. Part 1 is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, but I just find all the sequels to, you know, kind of feel very much like the same movie, and I kind of enjoy them all equally, with Part 3 probably being my least favorite, but I've always enjoyed Scream 2. Just haven't watched it in quite a bit. Then we have The Serpent in the Rainbow. This is a Wes Craven film, and I gotta say, I didn't know anything about this movie going into it. I had first heard about it on the 100 Scariest Movie Moments that Bravo had put out on TV back in the late 2000s, and, or early 2000s, whatever, but I decided to check it out just because I thought the title was interesting and the cover always intrigued me, and this just wasn't really a movie that I personally enjoyed. It was kind of hard for me to follow exactly what was going on. Definitely one that I would have to probably give a rewatch to, but it's also one that I don't really feel like giving the rewatch to, but I know a lot of people do enjoy this film for what it is, but for me it just wasn't really my taste. And then after that, we have The Shining, which, you know, don't really have to say much about this. I consider it to be my #1 favorite horror movie of all time, and I have stuck with that opinion over the years. When I was younger and first saw this, like, some parts scared the heck out of me, and it's one that I have always gone back to, and, you know, it's hard to explain why, because it's a very, you know, slow burn, atmospheric film, and it's a very long movie as well, and, you know, like I just said with Rosemary's Baby, I don't really feel like going back to that one, even though it is fantastic, but for some reason, I just can't get enough of The Shining. It's one that I can watch at any time, and, yeah, I don't know, it's just like a masterpiece in my mind, everything about it, so can't say enough good things about The Shining. I've given my opinions on that quite a bit. Then we have Return to Sleepaway Camp, which I guess I could put in a different section now because I got rid of my other Sleepaway Camp. This could probably go in the R category, but anyway, Return to Sleepaway Camp, obviously this is part 4 in the Sleepaway Camp franchise, and I've only seen this once. I don't remember it a whole lot, but, you know, it is a bad movie, and the characters are quite annoying in it, but I also recall finding it to be, you know, kind of entertaining for what it was, and when you think about it, all the Sleepaway Camp movies are pretty cheesy and more comedic than anything, so, you know, I didn't really mind this movie as much as some people do. Like, some people think it's the worst movie ever, but I didn't overly mind it. It's definitely the weakest in the franchise by far, but I don't know, I didn't really mind it. After that, we have Sleepwalkers, which I quite enjoyed. This is one that, you know, I was at a Cash and Culture, and JP told me that I should just pick this up, and I went ahead and grabbed it, and I found it to be enjoyable. You know, it's kind of weird because it starts off, I remember being like more lighthearted and comedic, and then it kind of gets like a little more serious and dark towards the end, and it just feels very random. But other than that, I find it to be a pretty fun movie, and I really like the cover here with this purplish color scheme. I know I've said that before, but for some reason I just really like covers that look like this. Next, we have a movie called Son of Sleepaway Camp, which we did this thing, me, JP, and our friend Matt, where we, on Halloween night, we decided to all pick a movie that seemed pretty obscure and had a movie marathon, and I chose this movie because I saw someone post it in a group page a while back, and just the title sounded ridiculous. It has nothing to do with Sleepaway Camp, but it does steal the score of Sleepaway Camp, which I don't know how they got away with that, and it's also called Memorial Valley Massacre. This isn't like the only title for it. I think it's more known as Memorial Valley Massacre, but I gotta say though, it was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, or we thought it was gonna be. It was actually kind of entertaining. There were some parts that were very laughable in it, and, you know, it's one that was so bad, you know, it wasn't good, but it was at least funny. It wasn't just horrible and unwatchable, so was pretty surprised by that. Then we have a stolen copy of Sorority Row from, I guess, Redbox. Yeah, I think, let me see. Yeah, so, pretty sure I got this out of a Redbox back whenever it first came out, and then me and my mom or whatever just completely forgot to return it, and I had another DVD that did not work, so I kind of just ripped. I think this is actually a box case for The Howling, because I had The Howling on DVD a while back, and it had cracks in it, so I decided to just flip the cover over, write Sorority Row on it, and put it in here. I don't even know if this disc actually works or not. I have not actually rewatched this movie since, you know, renting it, but anyway, Sorority Row, the movie, I do enjoy. I've never seen the original film, but Sorority Row, I remember I did quite enjoy when it first came out. I need to get a real, you know, nice copy of it, though. Then we have Spiral, Adam Green's Spiral. This is definitely more of a thriller film, but, you know, I throw thrillers in my collection now. I'm more lenient on that nowadays, but Spiral is a fantastic film, probably my favorite Adam Green film, if you're not talking about the Hatchet movies. I think this is my favorite of his just, you know, standalone horror movies. I think he does a good job with horror and thrillers. Obviously, he's more of a comedy guy. He likes to taper in comedy with his horror, but I think he does a good job when he plays things more serious, such as, you know, Frozen. So I really enjoy Spiral. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who has not checked it out if you're into, you know, movies that are a little more thriller than horror. Then we have Storm Warning. I believe this is an Australian film, and I don't remember this one a whole lot, but I know it was pretty brutal, and I know I did quite enjoy it. I think it's about a couple, there's a storm, and their sailboat kind of, you know, they get stuck in the storm, and they end up on this, like, island area, and then there's some dude who starts terrorizing them. Don't remember it a whole lot, but I do remember enjoying it. Then we have this 11 movie collection called Strange Things. Picked this up at Walmart like an idiot because I just love how Walmart always has these movies or these like collections of movies out that are trying to bank off of popular movies or TV shows. Like they have a new movie at Walmart now that's just called Anne, and it's about a killer doll. Who knows where they came up with that? And then this is obviously trying to bank off of the Stranger Things TV show, and I don't know, I just thought the cover was kind of cool, and I was kind of interested to see if any of the movies in this would be good, and I gotta say, like, some of them aren't bad, but for the most part, I did not care for many of the movies in this, simply because a lot of them are actually more sci-fi and kid-friendly. Like, a lot of these movies are actually only rated, like, PG or PG-13, and I did not realize that when I bought it. I just kind of picked it up one day, just felt like my collection was getting low, so I thought, like, oh, I'll just pick up this pack of 11 movies and that'll keep me busy for a while. And, you know, I just kind of regretted it because, of course, I have to watch everything in my collection before putting on the shelf because I'm weird like that. So I did watch every movie in this collection, and it was not a fun time. But I will say movies like Pulse and My Mom's a Werewolf and I believe The Hearse were pretty good. The other ones I could take or leave, really. Then lastly, for this part, guys, we have The Strangers. Yes, I think this is a fantastic movie. It is very creepy, very atmospheric. Not one that I would definitely go back to a whole lot, just because it's got a very depressing vibe to it. Obviously, it's home invasion-y, and I'm sure everyone knows the story of The Strangers by now. I did watch the sequel in theaters recently, and that one is a lot less depressing, even though it does have a lot of depressing moments going on in it. It feels more upbeat and lively than this movie does, probably because there's more characters in it. But I did enjoy the sequel. It's definitely not the same as the first movie in terms of the atmosphere and elements like that, but yeah, The Strangers, great movie. Like I said, not one that I would run back to just because it is a downer of a film, but fantastic film either way. Thank you guys once again for joining me for part 8 of my entire horror movie collection here, and I will see you in the next video.